The convention was awesome. Because of college, I hadn't had the time to come to one of these in a while, and I had sorely missed it. Due to my soft features, slight build and androgynous name of Skylar, when I was growing up I was always bullied out of team sports and such. Add to that the fact that I had always loved more nerdy things, like anime or manga, and you had the perfect recipe for a shut-in without many friends. But here, the place was filled with people like me. The vendors beckoning from their stands, the flustered artists not used to the crowds, all these things made it feel like the fictional worlds I loved so much and grew up in became more real, in a way. But in my eyes, nothing made fiction a reality more than cosplay. I don't know, I was always just drawn to it for some reason. Seeing my favorite icons from gaming or anime, moving, breathing, just existing near me felt like my dreams had become a reality. Of course, I knew they weren't real, but there was something special about seeing a normally 2D character posing for pictures. "Attention everybody," a female voice rang out over the speakers. "The cosplay competition will be starting soon, where the public can vote for the winner. Those who wish to participate, please advance towards the auditorium." Crap! I had been looking around for too long, and now I was going to get stuck in the rush. I had to hurry and get there before everyone else finished whatever they were doing. But where was the auditorium anyways? I unfolded the handout map of the convention and started running along. Wait, was the main hall down there? I could have sworn it was. Bonk! In my rush, I bumped into another person, who had spilled her drink. I looked down. Yeah, it was all over my shirt. I moved over to help. "Hey, are you okay?" "I'm sorry." She looked up at me, and I turned away, embarrassed. She was pretty. She had big, bright blue eyes, perfectly framed by cascading golden hair. "Oh my God!" "No." "I'm sorry," she babbled. "I got you all dirty." She looked almost as flustered as I was. I felt my face getting red. Crap, this wasn't good. All those years as a shut-in weren't doing me any service now. I had to find a way out of this situation, fast. "Attention everyone, the cosplay competition is about to start soon." That was my cue. "Gotta go, bye." I ran off, leaving her confused on the ground. I made my way into the crowded auditorium, pushing my way past people. I finally got to a good spot where I could get a good view of the stage. It was amazing. Character after character walked onto stage and posed, emulating their personalities as best they could, the frenetic crowd cheering them on. I normally had a hard time in noisy and crowded situations like this, but I was as excited as everybody else. All of the contestants were great, but a few stood out. One was a girl in a really great Kobayashi costume. The tail seemed to have some real weight to it, and the dress hugged her figure perfectly. She seemed so embarrassed to be on stage though, and had a hard time posing. She was beet red by the time she got off. The other one was a girl in a very faithful Ryuko costume. Daringly, she chose to go with the more uncovered version, but she seemed to have a hard time owning up to it. She got up onto the stage firmly, but cracked down once she got on and covered her figure, blushing. She seemed genuinely embarrassed, but most people thought she was emulating Ryuko's personality from the first episode, so it went over fine. Something that was weird was that both of them seemed to be wearing a similar collar. It didn't stand out too much for Kobayashi, but it was pretty apparent for the Ryuko cosplay. As I was wondering about it, I felt a tap on my shoulder. "Hey! Enjoying the show?" It was the girl from earlier. "Yeah." Everyone's great. Who do you think you're going to vote for? The Kobayashi and Ryuko cosplayers seem to have the best costumes so far. They're so faithful, and the quality is through the roof. Oh ho, so my girls have caught your eye, have they? Her girls? That sounded weird. Aw, but I get it. She must be part of an agency or something. Maybe modeling? The girls were beautiful. Are they part of your agency? She looked surprised for a second, then smiled deviously. Yeah, something like that. Wanna go get a drink after? Sure, sounds great. I don't know why, but the overexcited crowd surrounding us was overstimulating my senses and made me focus on something else while talking to her. Weirdly, it felt more natural, and we were having a steady, upbeat conversation by the time the event ended. After casting our votes, I voted for her staff. Of course, we made it to the cafeteria. I had learned that her name was Lilith. She was of Asian European descent and came from a pretty wealthy family. Her parents often had work or were out partying though, so she was often alone. She had come to the United States to see how the conventions and cosplay were here. She was currently studying chemistry, specializing in cosmetics. And how about you? She asked. What about your family? I sighed. It wasn't that great. My parents had separated when I was pretty young and had very quickly become embroiled in their own relationships and problems. Because of this, I had become pretty self-reliant and independent very early on. But do you ever talk to them? She asked. Not really. I'm sure that I could disappear one day and they wouldn't even know. She seemed to perk up at this. It must be tough all alone though, no? Any close friends? Not really. I told her about my problems relating to my weaker, thinner build and interests. Her eyes seemed to sparkle, weirdly enough. Ah, that's sad. Maybe you just haven't been around the right people that can truly appreciate how you could be. Could be? Was she teasing me? Hey, so what's your favorite skin in League? I said, trying to change the subject. She looked down at the handout map/flyer from the convention, calculating something in her head, then looked at her watch. I don't know, she said, ordering me a refill for my drink. Star Guardian Jinx? It was already getting dark when our conversation started to die down. Welp, I should get going. I don't want to miss the last bus. What time is it coming? I looked at the flyer. It's supposed to be coming at about 8 o'clock. What time is it? She looked at me with wide eyes. At 8. It's already almost 10. I looked down at my watch. Geez, look at the time. We had been talking for so long that I had completely missed the bus. I looked off into the distance, trying to find a solution for my problem. The light buzz I had going on from the drinks wasn't helping either. I didn't think I had ordered anything with alcohol, though. Lilith pondered for a moment. Hey, I have an idea. Why don't you come over to my place? What? Going over to a girl's place? The prospect seemed intriguing at first, but that was the sort of development that only happened in rom-coms. No way that was happening. I politely refused. Come on. She pouted. It'll be fun. I still owe you for messing up your shirt, remember? Plus, it's not like you have anywhere else to go. Yeah, there wasn't really any other solution. I could try sleeping somewhere at the convention, but I would probably get chased out. And shoot, I had been walking around all day with a gross shirt. I definitely couldn't stay now. I must have looked stupid. Okay, I'll come, I agreed. She squealed with joy. Skylar, come on. This way. I'll have my limo pick us up, she said, grabbing my hand. I blushed and chased after her. This was going fast. But another look into her bright smile told me I should follow her. Wow. She hadn't been lying when she said her parents were wealthy. Even that was probably an understatement, I thought as I climbed into the vehicle. It was spacious inside, but small enough to be cozy. The cushions were made out of a lavender velvet, and from what I understood the vehicle was hers. She didn't know how to drive though, so a chauffeur sat in the front seat. The others already got to the hotel, so it'll just be you and me. In my dazed state, I fleetingly wondered why the models were going to the same probably super fancy hotel that Lilith was staying at, but I didn't have the energy to ask. I just crawled in slowly next to her and sat down. Gosh, my head hurt so much. Had I really gotten that drunk? It was just 1 or 2 drinks, wasn't it? I barely felt the car start, and Lilith was looking at me worryingly. Hey, are you okay? You don't look too well. Why don't you rest your head on my lap? I was in no place to object. I let my head slide down onto her lap. Hey, Lilith? I murmured. Yes? Thanks for today. It was a lot of fun. She went red in the face. I think I love you. The words slid out from my mouth before I could stop them. She opened her mouth, flustered, and mumbled incomprehensibly. Words finally emerged from her lips. Don't worry, we'll have a lot more fun soon. I felt her combing my hair before I dozed off. At one point, I felt the car stop. I heard the driver ask if Lilith needed any help, but she said she would manage. I felt her hoist me into a bridal carry and get me out of the car and into the hotel. I felt embarrassed, but I was just too spaced out to protest. I barely had time to take in the fancy suite we were in before I fell back into a deep slumber. I was so excited, I could barely wait. He was just so pretty, so perfect. I could barely contain myself from drooling over him when we were in the car. And so cute, too. Thanks for today, it was a lot of fun. So cute and precious. He even said he loved me. When he confessed with those big round eyes and cute tone, I could almost feel my heart melt. He looked exactly like a schoolgirl confessing to her first crush. His hair was so fluffy and healthy, I couldn't stop myself from putting it into twin tails in the car. It was already pretty long, and reached way past his shoulders, but for what I had in mind it had to be a lot longer. And redder, too. The car came to a halt in front of the hotel. Do you require any help, miss? No thanks, Makoto, I can take care of him myself. Make sure Zoe and Aya are sleeping, then you can get to bed. She obliged. I picked him up and he cuddled into my arms. I felt myself redden. I ran past the reception, all the way up the stairs into my suite. By this time, most people had already gone to bed. But not us. I looked down at the boy in my arms. Well, not me in any case. I opened the door carefully, so as not to let my precious little bundle fall on the ground, and then got him onto the bed. Just to make sure he would be asleep, I slipped him another pill, the same as earlier today. I also slipped him a little pink pill. He would be taking a lot more of those soon. His figure was okay for now, but he certainly needed some help in some areas. I looked at him, unsure where to start, brimming with excitement. Ah! I had to calm down. Phew, take a breath. I closed my eyes for a second. There. I looked at him again, sleeping peacefully. I should probably start by getting him in the bath. I undressed him carefully, then threw his clothes into the trash. He wouldn't be needing those anymore. I filled the suite's bathtub with warm water, then lowered him in. I also got undressed and joined him. I giggled. We were sharing the bath. He would be happy. He did love me, after all. I looked at his skin. It was near perfect. How had he been able to keep it this nice even though he was a shut-in neat? No wear, no tear, I guessed. Anyway, he didn't have many hairs, but I wanted to shave him just to be sure. I took out a pink razor and shaved him completely. When I was done, he was squeaky clean. Yes. I then took out some bubblegum-smelling soap and scrubbed him all over. His body was pretty thin, but he already had some weight at his rear. Already a good start. I then shampooed him, making sure to not get any in his eyes, then dried him off. I then malaxed hydrating lotions and such into his skin. And there he was. I had a clean slate ready to make mine. What a perfect doll. I carried him out of the bathroom into the room and secured him to a salon chair I had installed. I knew I shouldn't dress him first, but I was so excited I wanted to take the outfit out, at least. How lucky it was that I had brought this over hoping to dress Zoe in it. She had preferred the Kobayashi costume though, so I wasn't able to use it. And how lucky it was, too, that this was also Skylar's favorite league skin. I pried open my luggage that was almost bursting with cute clothes and took it out. And there it was. A high-quality Star Guardian Jinx cosplay made by my own hands. The long flowing crop top emblazoned with a red star, the crimson booty shorts, the figure-hugging stockings, everything was there. I had made replicas of the weapons, but because of everything else I was bringing I had to leave those at home. What a shame. Still, I thought, blushing, this would be more than enough for him. I couldn't wait to see my little dolly all dressed up. I decided to start by giving him the manicure/pedicure combo. I secured his arms and legs with pink straps so he couldn't squiggle around. As I was trimming and filing his nails, I couldn't help but wonder how lucky I had been to run into him today. I never expected to raise my eyes and see such a pretty boy standing right over me. It was love at first sight. Oh, I was so sad when he ran off. I was overjoyed when I spotted him in that super-packed crowd. And he was so interested in Zoe and Aya, too. It's almost like fate wanted us to be together, I thought, blushing again. How was he making me so flustered? I couldn't believe that a simple "I love you" was enough to get me into this state. But coming from such a pretty boy. I then took out the kit. It was the fruit of my prior years in cosmetic research. It contained my version of every single sort of cosmetic you could ask for. Nail polish, lipstick, hair dye, everything. I giggled with glee. They were hyper-ultra-mega durable, and were basically permanent if not removed with my special batch of solvent. After giving his toes a coat of red polish and an overcoat, they were so small and precious, I decided to go a bit over the top on his nails. I had left them extending a bit past his fingertips, like in the splash art. I first applied a thin layer of base coat, on which I used 2 polishes to create a gradient. The base of his nails would be a lighter shade of red and would brighten up near the tip of his nails with a pinkish hue. I sprinkled some small, sparkly star-shaped glitter onto the base of his nails, then applied a healthy dose of gel. I just loved the glossy and full feel they had. I then spotted a small enamel Star Guardian blazon I had made. I glued it to the base of his ring finger nail on his right hand. With the nails finally done, it was time to get to the makeup. I wanted to do it before I got his hair any longer. I pinned back his hair using cute little Sanrio hairpins and secured his neck back to the head support so it wouldn't move around. He looked so precious, his small body against the huge pink chair. I loved it so much. I scooted closer to his face and lowered the chair, folding it back so he was looking up. I first plucked his eyebrows into a thin, feminine arch. Grabbing supplies from my kit, I applied foundation to his face, highlighting and accentuating his more feminine features. I used a very small shimmer of glitter on his nose and cheekbones to make him sparkle like a star. I then applied eyeshadow, trying to follow the same color scheme as his nails. Towards the inside, I used a crimson red, and then applied a light pink farther out. I was about to mix it with my finger, then remembered what a hassle it would be to remove it, so I used one of my special non-stick brushes instead. I then glued fake lashes similar to the ones in the skin onto his eyelids, followed by a thin line of eyeliner, then mascara. I observed my work, then with the eyeliner, I drew little hearts and stars under his eyes. I giggled. This was so fun! Then it was the lips' turn. I applied a healthy coating of crimson lipstick. There didn't seem to be any sort of gradient on the skin, which made it all the more simpler for me. I did like plumper lips though, so I applied a heavy coat of glitter gloss. Then I noticed something. His ears weren't pierced. How silly of me to forget. I moved over with a piercing gun, used it, then disinfected his wounds. I would have to remember to put the earrings in later. Now it was time to get to the hair. Star Guardian Jinx had long, wild, layered crimson locks that darkened to a violet color at the ends. This was going to take some time. I puffed up my cheeks and steeled my resolve. He was going to look so pretty after, and carried him back into the bathroom. I started by bleaching his natural hair to get a blank slate. After that, I grabbed from the kit one of my proudest inventions, long locks of white, seemingly organic hair that I had created in a lab. I weaved them into his scalp, and after an hour or two, he had long, wild locks that reached down past his thighs. I then decided to trim it to give him that layered look, which took a good hour. Styling his bangs to that anime-inspired look took a long time, too. Phew! I was exhausted, pulling an all-nighter, but seeing his new, flowing hair gave me determination. I needed to see how cute my dolly would look. I put him in a kneeling position next to the bathtub, so that all his hair, down to its roots, would fall inside. I then filled it with warm water and then mixed in crimson hair dye from my kit. A few drops was probably enough. The stuff was potent. I had to let his hair soak in it, like a cloth, for it to absorb the color. After 30 minutes or so, I drained the bath, dried his hair, and repeated with his tips using a violet shade to get hair exactly the same as the skin. I pulled him out, dried him, then noticed his eyebrows. Using a Q-tip, I applied some dye to his eyebrows, making it look like red was his natural color. I pulled him out of the bathroom and back onto the salon chair. I was almost panting with excitement, and my eyes were watery with anticipation. It was my favorite part, the dress-up. First, I locked a cute little cage around his privates, then fitted a medium plug emblazoned with a cursive L on the base into his rear. He really was mine, now. I then covered them up with a pair of cute red and white striped panties with a small bow on the front. I couldn't be sure what sort the Jinx was wearing in the skin, so I had improvised. I gently caressed his face. He already looked so cute like this. Then came the black stockings with the gold trim. I really wanted to emulate that figure-hugging and shiny aspect, so I had crafted them with some sort of latex, PVC and spandex hybrid. I was definitely regretting it a little now that I was trying to get an unconscious little doll into them. Finally, his feet slid down and I fastened on the custom-made boots. I had made the heels a bit taller than they were in the skin. I just loved heels. Anyway, with his size, a few extra inches probably wouldn't hurt him anyways. They fit snugly on his cute little feet. Then I tied on the winged star emblems with ribbons on the front, clicking the small locking mechanism inside them. He was mine, after all. Only after locking did I realize that I probably should have fitted him with the shorts first. What a bother! Oh well. I slid them over his boots and up his smooth legs, fitting them around his waist. I had made them with women's proportions, but they fit snugly and hugged his rear. I then laced in the belt and locked that, too. Now for the gloves. On his left arm, I fitted him with the sort of elbow-length white and gold fingerless starred bracer Jinx used to carry her rocket launcher. After locking it, I fitted the shoulder-length black fingerless gold-starred glove onto his right arm. I then folded back part of the top, revealing the red velvety interior. The gold trim really made it stand out. After that came his hair. I semi-braided it into 4 equal loose braids, creating a tightly knit network of hair on his scalp. I twisted 2 of the braids until they formed little balls that I posed up on his head with the help of tons of hairpins. I fastened them securely, locking them in place using tiara-like hairpins that I had crafted similar to the ones in the skin, white wing-like shapes with a gold trim. I then took the 2 remaining lower braids, tied them at the scalp with hair ties, and shook them to messily undo the braids. Yes! I had perfectly gotten the hairstyle down. I was so excited for the next part, that tied the whole outfit together, the top. It was a simple, gold-rimmed black open-backed crop top with a star in the front from which ribbons poured out. But the most interesting aspect of it was the wing-like part which started at the bottom of the star and tied around the back with a ribbon star. He was going to look so cute. I had actually started panting now. I had to stop myself from stuffing him into it. I didn't want to ruin my previous work after all. I slid the top over him and fastened the ribbons in the back, locking the top behind his neck. Before I forgot, I put little star-shaped earrings in his ears. I then took a step back to admire him. My heart skipped a beat. He was so cute. He looked exactly like her. His soft, feminine face looked even better with the crimson highlights, the glitter and stars breaking up the monotony of his porcelain skin and the bangs framing his cute face perfectly. The wild hair and the asymmetric outfit balanced out his cuteness, giving him a tsundere look. His nails were perfect. The crop top and the shorts hugged his frame perfectly, and the stockings were showing off perfect legs. I approached slowly, my heart beating, and held his face in my hands. He was still sleeping. I caressed him, and then approached my lips to his, before leaving a light kiss on them. I pulled back, embarrassed. I then picked him up and put him in bed, on the covers. Good night, Skylar. I got into the bed and turned off the light. When I awoke, my hammering headache had died off, leaving only a slight drowsiness. I tried to open my eyes, but the bright light stung my eyes a little, so I fluttered them closed. Fluttered? What? Now that I was thinking about it, I did feel weird. Or was it my clothes? My legs and chest felt tight, and my sneakers definitely weren't this heavy. I felt full for some reason, too. Through my haze of drowsiness, I could also feel gloves. Ugh, this was such a pain to think about. I could feel my headache creeping back. I heard a door open. Hey, you're finally awake. Sleepyhead. I struggled my eyes open to see Lilith coming out of what seemed to be a bathroom, only a towel covering her body. Even as dazed as I was, I felt myself blush. I had rarely been this close to a girl, and I felt myself, against my will, growing down there. Huh? It hurt so much. Why? I sat up on my legs and grabbed my crotch. Ouch! Ugh, I could barely think straight, then this happens. She came over and sat down next to me, draping her arm over my shoulder. She raised her lips to my ear. Do you want to know why it hurts? She murmured. Why? Because you're mine now, she answered, licking her lips. She turned me to face a full-wall mirror I hadn't seen earlier, still cuddling me. Wait. Was that me? I stared, wide-eyed and surprised, and Jinx stared back with the same expression. When I cocked my head, she did. With Lilith twirled a lock of crimson hair in between her fingers, it was hers. It was mine. I looked so pretty. Upon coming to that realization, I raised a dainty, gloved hand to my mouth. Do you like what you see? She asked. She cuddled up behind me and laced her arms around me. She started to pat my head. Through my thrumming head, I could only feel her touch, hear her voice. Do you like it? She asked again. I looked at myself again. I had woken up, dazed and confused in an unknown room, dressed up like a girl. I blinked. But I liked it. I felt good. It felt right. And Lilith's presence comforted me. I relented. She squealed and hugged me tighter. I knew you would. You just look so yummy, she said, softly biting my neck. Did you have fun yesterday? Yes, it was amazing. She smirked. Stay with me. Become mine. And I promise you will have so much more fun together, she said, hugging me. She got up and got something from a luggage in the room. All you have to do is let me fasten this around your neck. It's your choice. It was a collar like the ones I'd seen before, with the name Sora engraved onto it. I was silent. Time seemed to have stopped. All I could hear was the rhythmic, excited drumming of my heart. If you can't tell me, I'll tie it around your neck. All you have to do to say no is resist me, okay? She said, creeping closer. She laced her hands around me and started tying the collar. I gently put my hands back onto hers, but she dove in and kissed me. I went limp. Hey, that's not fair, Lilith. You're cheating. I was already ready and waiting in the car when I saw my lady emerge from the hotel, her newest toy collared and led by a leash. He was flushed red with embarrassment, holding onto her arm like he was her girlfriend. Hey Makoto, up early I see. Did the staff already pack my luggage? All of your affairs have already been packed into the trunk. Mississippi Zoe and Aya have already departed. Your private jet is ready to depart once we're there. Great! Time to get home. As she got into the vehicle, the boy, Sora as his collar indicated, climbed in behind her. Shall we bring this young man home before getting to the airport? My lady looked back at me, surprised. She could be so air-headed at times. I didn't mind her having a bit of fun, but she really should get a hold on things. No, Makoto, this one's mine. He's coming home with me. Oh. Had she finally found someone to her tastes? I closed the door behind her and got into the driver's seat. Luckily, the young man had his passport in his backpack, or else getting past customs would have been quite the hassle, don't you think, miss? She rolled her eyes. Ugh, okay, Makoto. Sorry. I know I should have told you sooner. You really need to learn to think about these things. You have no idea how hard it. She covered her ears with her hands and started chanting. La la la, I can't hear you. I normally tried my best to keep my cool, but she could be so infuriating at times. No, really, you must understand. She tugged my collar, producing an audible moan from my lips. I flipped around to face her, embarrassed. She stared at me coyly. Come on, Makoto, let's get going. I want to get home with her as fast as possible. I turned the key and started to pull out from the parking lot. And by the way, her name's Sora.